Hi guys, this is Matt from Optimus Futures, and today I'm going to talk about your DNA as a trader. Before I talk about that, I just want to remind everyone that there's a substantial risk of loss in futures trading. Everything I talk about is my personal opinion. I have the best of intentions, but consider your financial situation before you trade any leverage product. So today I want to talk about your limitation as a trader. This is something that really haven't been addressed, I feel, in the proper way in the trading channels, and I want to talk about that. So essentially what I want you to do is to work with your abilities and your DNA as a trader. What does it mean? It means that you have to operate in an environment that it's really you and recognizes your limitations as opposed to the hypothetical of what you want to become. And I'll tell you exactly the differences, and I'll be very elaborate about it and detailed so you can understand. So let's assume you are trading 5 micro Nasdaqs, right, which is about half of the regular Nasdaq, and you're doing well and you have a positive cash flow. At this point, let's say you traded for a month, you're happy, and now you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll just go to one full contract of the mini Nasdaq. My suggestion is really not to do that, but rather to go maybe to 6 micros. Or if you traded, let's say, 10 mini S&Ps, and it's been a successful month, not to go to 20, but rather go to 1. Why? Because I want you to build your immune system to trading in a very, very slow manner. The hypothetical you says, okay, well, you know what I'm going to do, I want to earn double what I earned last month, and if I did it with 10 lots, now I can do it with 20 lots. So my question to anybody who operates on that level, that he thinks he can just move from 10 lots to 20 lots, from 5 micros to 1 full lot, or 10 micros, show me one sport that the minute the athlete achieved a certain time, the minute he decided that he achieved a certain time, he wants to cut that time in half. This is exactly how I feel about somebody who tells me that he wants to double it the next month. This is actually the same type of challenge, because he does not go through that incrementally. He wants to do it right away. They don't know the limitations of their psychology. They don't know the limitations of their DNA. They might behave completely differently when they double their position. My suggestion is always go and add the smallest amount of increment that you can. Now, clearly, it depends on your experience. It depends on your expertise. If somebody traded, for example, 100 lots in the bonds, let's say, sure, maybe they can go to 110. Maybe their account is big enough. But you know, if you trade but for most traders, right? If you're trading 10 lots, go to 11. You know, if you traded 3 lots, go to 4. Why? Because you want to build slowly and realize, where are you hitting a wall? Where is your DNA hitting a wall as a trader? And if you do that, I think you could do better improvements to your trading personality and build a better, again, immune system, you know, against fluctuations that could occur in the marketplace. One of the things that you will see, that if you work slowly and you add those increments slowly, again, being the real you as opposed to the hypothetical, you will see at what point you hit a wall that completely changes you. Let me give you an example. Let's say somebody, again, let's say trades crude oil, right? It got to the point that he has comfort trading, let's say 10 contracts, right? Now he wants to increase it. But let's say you increase it to 11 and you see that it's going well. And then you increase it to 12 and it's going well. All the way up to 14, it's going well, and then you hit 15. And then at 15, all of a sudden, you have an issue, right? All of a sudden, your psychology is not the same. You don't think the same way. You get a little bit more anxiety and nervous and fluctuate. And as the market fluctuates, as you look at your P&L, a lot of traders remove their P&L. I don't necessarily think it's a good idea, but you know, some people operate that way. But essentially, they become very, very nervous when they hit a certain wall. And maybe your DNA at that point, or whoever is trading, should be kept at 14 forever, not to increase to 15. Honestly, Somebody should be just happy to say, hey, I reached this level, I'm positive at this level, I enjoy trading, and I feel comfortable operating within this risk level. This, I think, is one of the best things that you can do for yourself as a trader in your career. A lot of traders start small and they'll say, well, if it goes small, then I'll go big. Fine, you can do that if you go through the stages where you recognize your limitations. I believe that every trader is very different as a person. I believe that there are people who can trade more than one E-mini S&P and one crude and one NASDAQ. And then there could be people like Ray Dalio that maybe, who has Bridgewater, that is comfortable maybe trading futures with 10,000 lots because he has billions. I don't know. I can't speak about other people's comfort level, but my experience in the industry and talking to traders has shown that a lot of people do not want to recognize their limitations, because it's not a good thing, right? Because they want to make more and more and more as they trade. But the reality is that if you get to a point where you're comfortable, I think you can operate in that space in a better way. Let me give you a little bit of an uncommon example. Let's assume that you doubled your positions as a trader, right? And let's say you had a very good month. And let's say you made exceptional returns. I think even if you operate on that level and you made exceptional money, usually it's very overwhelming and it makes your, your behavior, it alters your behavior because now you're out of the norm. You usually don't make this kind of money. I believe when that happens, you give back your money faster to the markets faster than you gained it. I believe that it also altering. So, the ability to absorb losses from trading and the ability to absorb the right wins in a balanced way would really help you out as a trader. It's a little bit of a hard topic. I didn't know, I questioned myself if I want to do this video, right? Because every trader wants to make more and more and more and more, right? Which is obvious. This is the idea. The idea is to trade more as you become more profitable. So I'm not here to discourage you to test your limits, but I'm here to encourage you to find where your limit is at. I'm not telling you whether you should trade 1 or 10 or 100. That depends on your risk capital, and it should be risk capital, which will be part of your psychology. If you have family needs, your needs, take care of them first before your trading needs. But at the same time, if you have that risk capital, it does not mean that you should treat it as gambling money. You should treat it in a smart way and grow yourself as a trader. My method that I recommend here, not so much of a method, but really it's more of a psychological thing to recognize your limits, will really help you, in my opinion, to preserve your capital possibly, and not do foolish things with it. So again, do things incrementally and slowly, recognize your limits, operate in a space that you feel comfortable with. And I'll tell you one thing, I really respect you as traders. You come in every day, you put your capital at risk to make a gain. So for me, if somebody trades 10 lots or 1 lot or 5 lots, I don't look at somebody like that as a better trader than other. I really respect anybody who takes risks. You should not, you should always look for role models in any industry, but you should not try and be them right away in a very, very fast way. First and foremost, recognize your limitations as a trader, your DNA, and there could be so many factors that affect that. It could be, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, so I'm not going to go into the variables of what makes one person accept more risk or less risk, but I do know that every person is different. We cannot attach a pattern of growth to every trader in the same way. A lot of it is your individual experience. Don't try to be somebody else. Grow yourself as a trader. Pay attention to where the pain points are in your trading and become very Become very self-conscious of your own trades and your own psychology. When you journal them, it's the best possible way. I wish you well in trading. and I would love to have you here as a customer at Optimus Futures. And until next time, I wish you a really good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.